This is Julian speaking, welcoming you to another battle report out of the breach. We're in week 2 of the FateofEric event, and because every player can submit 2 game results per phase, I have another battle report for you. Remember to submit your games on your preferred social media platform and add the hashtag FateofEric to participate in the event and help to decide the fate of Eric. We're still in the first phase of the event, and we can use the Eric the Unsure version for our chosen faction without any upgrades. This time, Bernd will try to convince Eric to see the green light of Leshavult, because I had the chance to play with Eric in the last week. We're keeping the format of drafting 5 models out of 8, but we changed the constellation of the 8 models to keep things interesting for you. We will not be able to play different troops each time, but I try to show a variety of models and playstyles. If I have the time to paint more models. But that's another story. Sometimes I spend more time with filming and editing videos and less time at the painting table. I hope you all had your first games with your chosen Eric and enjoying the time of the event. Here you see the 8 models who are willing to fight for the Leshavult. And here the 8 for the Commonwealth. Here you can see the depth of the Moonstones on the battlefield. The Commonwealth choose to be the early bird, and Quack is the first to arrive. And Klaus arrives as well, bell swinging and in base contact with the Moonstone. Next up is Friar Flavius, who is surprised to see a Moonstone right next to him. And now, our hero of the story, Eric the Unsure, arrives, fascinated by Claw's bell ringing, but also focused on his task to harvest a very deep moonstone. And Kaufmann arrives, right beside the friar. Maybe Flavius can do a bit of work for him. More bells in the distance, and Brother Daniel arrives next to Eric, mumbling something about how Eric is the chosen one who will save Tauber. But Eric isn't listening because he got distracted by Daniel's lovely party hat. Hired as Kaufmann's bodyguard, Gotchgott stumbles in between the humans. And another giant enters the ground. Guided by the lovely sounds of bells, Lubart is coming out of the woods to hear who might be on the other side of the clearing. Silently, Nettie comes out of the watchtower, quickly stuffing something in her pockets she might had grasped earlier, looking innocent as always. And finally, Reagan arrives. Klaus would never leave without her. Turn 1. The Leshavult hand the initiative over to the Commonwealth, and Quack is the first to activate. He jogs over to the Moonstone, harvests for 2 energy to pick it up, because he's a weakling, and rests on his last energy. Eric the Unsure spends all of his 3 energy to harvest the stone down to a 1, and jogs forward. Friar Flavius spends 2 energy to harvest the stone down to a 1, jogs forward, and steps once. Klaus harvests for 1, jogs, and rests on his last 2 energy. And Quack takes a reaction step. Kaufmann spends 1 energy to pick up the stone, jogs for 2 inches, and spends 2 to use Shower of Gold. He declares a point within 6 inches, and every other model within 4 of the chosen point has to move 2 inches directly towards it. Brother Daniel picks up the stone, jogs for 2 inches, and spends 2 energy to plant the placard. All other friendly models within 6 inches can move up to 2 inches in any direction. Gotchgard jogs and rests on his 2 energy. Reagan spends 3 energy to use her Malachite ritual on Lubart and declares a green 1 to give Lubart 1 energy. But with 2 green 1s and the green 3 in hand, the Commonwealth call bluff, and the pink 1 is revealed. No catastrophe to replace the pink card, but Reagan does wounds on pink, so the card effect resolves and Lubart suffers 1 wound. Nettie jogs and steps 4 times to get in base contact with the Moonstone. Klaus takes 2 reaction steps. Lubart jogs and steps twice, and Gotchgard takes 2 reaction steps. And that's the end of turn 1. Jogging, stepping, harvesting, the usual stuff. Let's see how the troops collide in the second turn. Turn 2. The Leshavult win the initiative, and with Brother Daniel's ability, "Look at the shiny thing," Eric gains 1 energy. But the first activation goes to the Commonwealth, and Nettie spends 2 energy to pick up the Moonstone, because she's a weakling, jogs, and rests on her last 2 energy. Brother Daniel jogs to get in base contact with the Moonstone, picks it up, and spends 2 for plant the placard. And Eric and Reagan can move 2 inches. Kaufmann jogs, steps once, and spends 2 for a Shower of Gold. Eric jogs and spends 1 energy to use Revitalize on Lubart, and declares a green 1. To lose 1 energy, and Lubart gains 1 energy. And the Commonwealth calls OK. And Eric does it again, targeting Klaus, and declares another green 1, and Klaus gains 1 energy. Gotchgard jogs over to Klaus, staying outside of the engagement range of Lubart, and rests on his 2 energy. Lubart spends 3 energy to use Righteous Fury to gain 3 energy, plus 1 melee stat, plus 1 arcane stat, and +1 damage, and jogs to get in base contact with the Moonstone. Nettie takes a reaction step, and because she is swift, she can move 2 inches. Lubart harvests for 2 and rests on his last energy. Flavius jogs, staying within 2 inches of Lubart, spending 1 energy to attack the giant. The Friar plays a Fallen Swing, and Lubart 2 rising attacks. Friar can deal 4 damage to Lubart because he gets +1 on impact damage. Lubart would deal 2 of the rising attacks, +2 for impact damage, and +1 for Righteous Fury, but Friar can reduce impact damage by 2. 3 wounds for Flavius, but because he is spiteful, he restores 1 wound every time he causes 1 or more wounds to an enemy. So after all the calculations, 2 wounds for the Friar. Klaus takes a reaction step to engage Flavius, and Flavius rests on his last 2 energy. And Klaus attacks Flavius. He gains +3 melee stat because Reagan, Eric, and Lubart are within 6 inches of him. Klaus plays a Fallen Swing, and the Friar plays a Fallen Swing. Klaus can just deal impact damage and gains +2, but Friar's natural padding prevents that. Friar would deal 1 damage to Klaus, but he has his protection and suffers no damage. But the protection is gone. Another attack, and Flavius spends 1 energy to go for it and draw 2 more cards. Klaus plays 2 sweeping cuts and can upgrade into his signature move, Flail Around Madly, and Flavius plays a Fallen Swing. Klaus can deal 4 wounds, and the Friar can also deal 4 to him. But Klaus suffers another 2 because he played his signature twice, and the Friar is still alive and can heal 1 because of Spiteful. To sum it up, 6 wounds on Klaus and 3 on the Friar. And Klaus attacks again, and Flavius goes for it. Klaus plays 2 rising attacks, and the Friar plays a Fallen Swing. Klaus can deal 2 wounds, but suffers 4 from the Fallen Swing and has to flip an arcane card for his top-thumping ability to see if he stays alive. Once per turn, when he is slain, he can flip the top arcane card and stays in play with that many wounds. He stays slain on a catastrophe. And he flips a 3 and restores 3 wounds. Because the Friar did damage, he can heal 1 wound. Quack uses Foresight on himself to get +2 arcane and spends 2 energy to heal Flavius, and declares a blue 1, and the Friar heals 2 wounds. And Quack jogs a bit forward. Reagan jogs and casts her Malachite ritual on Klaus and declares a blue 3. The Commonwealth calls, okay, and Klaus heals 4 wounds. And Gotchgut takes 2 reaction steps. And that's the end of the turn. Friar tanking a lot of hits against all the impact damage from Klaus and Lubart was impressive to watch. And Klaus with a furious comeback after a flipped 3 and a heal of 4 from Reagan. Let's see what's coming next. Turn 3. The Commonwealth win the initiative, and Daniel shouts, "Look at the shiny thing!" and Eric gains 1 energy. Gotchgard jogs around the crates and attacks Reagan, and she spends 1 to go for it. He plays 2 fallen swings and Reagan a low guard, and can upgrade into her signature move, Mist Form, to reduce the damage by 2, and she suffers 4 wounds. And Gotchgard attacks again with his last energy. Reagan goes for it. Gotchgard plays a fallen swing and Reagan a high guard, and can follow up with a thrust. And Gotchgard suffers 1 wound because his ramshackle armor prevents 1. Klaus attacks Friar Flavius. He plays a sweeping cut and Flavius a high guard. Nothing happens. Another energy, another attack, and Flavius spends 1 to go for it. Klaus with 2 fallen swings and Flavius with a low guard. 4 damage are enough, and the friar is slain. Hello, this is Editing Julian speaking. Yes, I am as shocked as you are. Friar Flavius had 5 wounds left, and you say 4 are enough and he is slain? That is strange, and I don't know what cursed that extra wound on him, because I revisited the original footage, and in the game I am convinced that he had just 4 wounds left. I apologize for the mistake, and hope the friar is not too mad with me when we meet on his resurrection party. Back to the game. Klaus jogs and attacks Quack, and Quack spends 1 energy to go for it. Klaus can play a sweeping cut and Quack a low guard. Klaus can upgrade into his signature move, Flail Around Madly, to be able to do follow-up attacks against a low guard. At first, he's doing 2 damage with his signature move. Then he can follow up with a fallen swing to deal another 4 on Quack. Quack can upgrade into his signature move, Gone in a Puff, to give Klaus -2 on his melee stat until the end of the turn, and move himself 4 inches. Quack sees his life passing by and spends 2 energy to heal himself and declares a blue 2. The Leshavult call OK, and he can heal 3 wounds, and jogs a bit forward. Brother Daniel jogs to be in base contact with the Moonstone and harvests twice to pick it up, and steps once. Kaufmann spends 2 energy to place a money bag between Klaus and Lubart, jogs 2 inches and rests on his last energy. Eric spends 1 energy to cast Revitalize on Reagan and declares a blue 1. She can heal for 1. He jogs and has to get closer to the money bag, and steps twice to get in base contact and pick it up. And he spent his last energy for a Revitalize on Lubart. He declares a blue 3 and the Commonwealth call bluff, and the blue 3 is revealed, and Lubart heals for 3. He can put down another card and declares a blue 2 targeting Klaus. And the Commonwealth calls bluff again. The blue 2 is revealed and Klaus heals for 2. And Eric doesn't want to put down another card. Natty jogs and steps twice to engage the giant, and attacks in an attempt to steal the Moonstone from Lubart. We didn't talk about it before, but Lubart is a predictable combatant and has to show his melee cards before choosing one. And he has to show Natty 2 high guards and a low guard because he didn't drew any attack. Natty can choose her sweeping cut and upgrade to her signature move, Cut Purse. Therefore, she can safely steal the Moonstone out of the blind giant's bag. The Moonstone in the picture is just for demonstrating purposes, because she has it in her pocket. Lubart has to spend 2 energy to attack Nettie because of her Look of Innocence ability, and he plays a rising attack and Nettie a sweeping cut. He would deal 4 damage to her, but she can upgrade into her signature move to reduce the damage by 2. Lubart jogs around to cut off her way, and Nettie takes a reaction step and can move 2 inches because she is swift. Reagan just stares at Gotchgut and holds her ground to protect Brother Daniel. And that's the end of turn 3. Lovely to see Nettie doing thieving stuff. I am almost sure I shouldn't have thrown a money bag with Kaufmann. We all saw how easily Eric had removed it, and instead he should have used his generous offer on Nettie. At the time of editing this video, I just realized yesterday in a game with Paolo that he can take stones off his friends. I thought he just can't do it on enemies. But back to the point, Nettie, free of the stones she was carrying, would have been much more agile because she had to spend 2 energy to get to Lubart because of the slow jog. Maybe a thing to consider in the future. Let the little girl run free doing her lovely and innocent thieving business. I really should play her more often. Anyway, things for the Commonwealth are looking pretty grim, but maybe little Nettie can escape with a Moonstone. Let's find out in the next turn. Turn 4. The Commonwealth win the initiative, and Reagan gains 1 energy for Look at the Shiny Thing. Quack activates, jogs and steps once to get away from Klaus, and rests on his last energy. Lubart spends his 2 energy to attack Nettie. Nettie spends 1 to go for it. Lubart has to show his cards. 2 rising attacks, a high guard, a thrust, and a fallen swing. If Nettie can guess what he will choose, she may live. She has low guards and a sweeping cut. The low guard would save her from the rising attacks, and the sweeping cut, with her signature move, would save her from the fallen swing. Lubart plays the fallen swing, and Nettie the low guard. 4 damage are enough, and Nettie is slain, and 2 Moonstones roll out of her pockets. At this point, we just talk about a few options, but there is no way that Kaufmann can use his money bag to hinder the movement to the Moonstones, because Klaus can just go and grab the bag, and Eric is free to grab the stones. And on the other side, Gotchgut is not able to reach Daniel in time. So, it's a clear win for the Leshavult, and Eric, the unsure, can gloriously pick up 2 Moonstones to save the day. A win for the Commonwealth in the first game, now a win for the Leshavult in the second game. Maybe Eric is some kind of lucky charm, always in the winning team. In my view, Klaus and Lubart did what they do best. Klaus smashing things with a furious comeback after top thumping and a heal from Reagan, and Lubart using his 3-inch melee range to stop the enemy from harvesting and being a threat nobody wants to get close to. Except Nettie. Nettie, I think I have to play her more often. She's mobile, has an ability to steal moonstones, has a slingshot for potential ping damage to take a last wound or remove protection, and she's the only human with 4 energy. As I mentioned earlier, I think Kaufman should have taken her stone to free her agility again. Or maybe she had to go around the other flank to sneak next to a support model like Daniel and taken 1 or 2 stones of him. I have to play her more often and practice how to use her in different situations. But as a little hint for next week, maybe I see some gnomes around the corner. And Kaufman. Still not sure about the money bags. One day I will use them to great effect, and then I will realize what I have done wrong all the time. Or maybe you lovely people out there can tell me your Kaufman moneybag story. I would love to hear how you could use it effectively. Please let me know in the comments down below. I hope you all had some campaign games so far. Remember to post them with the hashtag FateofEric and share your results with the community. And if you're not able to play in person, come and join the Discord. Order your version of the Tabletop Simulator and play your games over the internet. Our usual Moonstone meetup is hosted by Paolo every Tuesday. Come and play or just chat about the game. Every friendly soul is welcome. If you cannot get enough of Moonstone, check Paolo's YouTube channel. He is recording games on the Tabletop Simulator and is doing live streams on Twitch. You find an awesome variety of troops and battle reports on his channel. Or check out the legend himself, Daniel from Olde Battle Raps. He is doing Moonstone video battle reports since the beginning of time, and he also hosts a wonderful Moonstone podcast. I am definitely guilty of listening to some episodes more than once. Entertaining and very informative. And check out Joe's blog, where you can find articles of different Moonstone topics. He is also organizing the Mischief and Mayhem tournament in Bristol at the end of August. The links to all those wonderful people are in the description down below. You know what you can do to help the channel. Like, share, comment and subscribe. But most importantly, I want to thank you for watching. I will paint up some minis, edit more footage, and hope to see you soon for another battle report out of the breach. So after all the calculations, Klaus plays 2 rising attacks, and the Friar flailing Flavius. He jogs and has to get closer to the money bag and steps twice to pick it up, and spends his last energy for a and he spends his last energy for a nicht verzweifeln. Einfach nicht verzweifeln. Revitalize. Ich kann das aussprechen.